And people think that that's all there is to it. But it is not all. In the Holy Quran itself it is mentioned that he begged that prayer only after Allah had told him that whoever was to believe in you has already believed. And whatever is left out, they are not going to believe in you. So his prayer was based on this holy revelation from God himself, who knew what was going to happen to these people and to what extent they had got corrupted. So after this condemnation of Allah, then he prayed, and that prayer was just logical. He said, if their life is meaningless, if they have totally rejected the truth ultimately, so whatever offspring they will have, they will leave behind, they would also follow their footsteps. In that case, destroy them. Now that additional part added into the prayer is also very interesting. While the revelation did not tell Noah that the offsprings of these people will also take the wrong course, yet he added that part in his prayer as a sort of condition, meaning that if that is the state, then they should be destroyed. If there is still hope for the future, then this prayer should not be accepted. I mean, that is an implied condition in that. So it's very meaningful and a very beautiful verse of the Holy Quran which throws light on this subject, generally speaking. Now, Mubahala should also be understood in this context. So only the Prophet of God is permitted to indulge in Mubahala, and only when Allah permits him. Otherwise, it's not right. It's not right. Now, the words of Mubahala indicate Nisana wa Nisaakum, Nana wa Abnaakum, and so on. But the traditions tell us that only Hazrat Fatima Zuhra, Zahra, Wazirat anha, and Hazrat Ali Karramallahu Wajhahu, and Hazrat Imam Hassan and Hussain, they were prepared for Mubahala. Now this is a very sensitive issue which has to be further investigated, because it does not completely reconcile with the Quranic version. Apparently, either there seems to be some lack of information or some flaw in the traditions, or perhaps it has to be understood in a different way, so that the verse of the Holy Quran is in complete reconciliation with the tradition, with the concerned tradition. Nisana is a plural. So, Nisana wa Nisaakum. And the only lady involved on this side, according to tradition, is Hazrat Fatima. And Nisana is applicable not to the daughters. Initially, it is applicable to the wives. Why should the wives be left out? So this is a very important question. And secondly, this Mubahala did not take place. So we don't know really what he intended. He might have mentioned this to his family, prepared that family, that you will also take part in it, but we don't know before going out for a real Mubahala, if it had taken place, how many else he would take along. So all that tradition indicates is that they were definitely included. Whether the rest were totally left out, that is an additional inference drawn by the Shiites, which I do not agree to, because apparently it is in contradiction with the picture painted in the verse of the Holy Quran concerning Mubahala. Is a part left out?
Yes,
please.
Out of this
discussion, something else is? Yes.
He had mentioned in his tafsir some because even some people are afraid of. He has mentioned this instance of even Surya and his attendants. They came out. The one Jew was there. He saw them, told the Jews, hey, don't you see that each one of them, when he prays, he can move the mountain from one place to another, and we are going to pray against him. This is mentioned by them.
No, but actually, the kuffar who were addressed, their leaders, they did not come out for that Mubala. Nor Rasulullah went there along with the family. I mean, we don't see any mention of this at all. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes? Who was it?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sajda?
Ji.
Yes, what's it?
Huzur, my son would like to ask a question.
The same question which we were discussing in the evening, or some other question?
I don't know. A different one, please.
All right. As she pleases.
Thank you.
Yes.
Throughout Christianity, there have been lots of holy people, in my opinion, and even in the 20th century, people like Martin Luther King, who would seem to have God on their side, and yet they still accept that Christ was divine, or very close to God anyway. Would you not consider that if they had been so totally misguided, God would have guided them towards, say, the Muslim faith, and yet He seems to have helped them in the rest of their lives without guiding them towards Islam rather than
Yes, thank you. It's a very intelligent question, and the one which should have been raised here much earlier. The fact is that the Holy Quran is not a book which monopolizes truth or monopolizes goodness. That is a beauty of the Holy Quran which is so distinctive that in no other book of the world will you find such a thing. In the first instance, no other holy book refers to other religions as true religions. Not a single instance can be quoted from any holy book where any other religion than the religion with which that book is primarily concerned is declared to be a true religion. Secondly, that there are good people among those who reject the truth. That is a fantastic claim. No claim near it has ever been made in any book. In the first instance, the totality of religious truth is denied elsewhere. And number two, the individual goodness is not recognized outside the realm of that religion. It is the fantastic revelation of the Holy Quran which brings to the focus these two factors. Number one, that there is no monopoly of truth or monopoly of God or monopoly of Islam. That is in essence. Their Islam is defined in a much larger perspective. Islam is defined in a perspective where a man has become submissive to God, and whatever he considers, he acts accordingly. There is nothing wrong in the man. So even if the teachings be wrong, he will be rewarded rightly, because there are things for which he is held responsible. He can be logically held responsible, and there are things for which he cannot be logically held responsible. So what is the purpose of Islam? To lead people to God. So if somebody has that basic fundamental prerequisite in him, which is necessary for a man to be led to God, that fundamental is the important thing. And the Holy Quran clearly mentions this subject in so many places. Number one, the one of the verses I also recited in the last sermon, that the Holy Quran refers to the